why the heck would you want to buy Solana right now? I mean, it's all just about meme coins, right? Meme coins are dumb. Last year's, their moment's over. It's all done now. Well, putting aside whether meme coins are washed up or have more fuel in the tank, there's actually a potentially very big Solana catalyst coming up in the not so distant future, and that is in the shape of Solana spot ETF. So let's dive into the Solana ETF trade and how you might be able to profit if it plays out. I'm currently in Solana. I have a Solana position based on this ETF trade, by the way. So first of all, what are the chances of a Solana spot ETF even being approved? We only have Bitcoin and Ethereum so far. That's going to be it forever. There'll never be another ETF for any coin. Yeah. Remember when the spot Bitcoin ETFs first gained approval? That was a huge moment, but it was a whole different world for crypto back then. The Biden regime was still in charge and showed no love for crypto. They were trying to kill it, actually. Gary Gensler was on the warpath, suing everybody he could find to sue. Coinbase, Kraken, Uniswap, everybody getting sued up in here, man. Whereas now, we have a shit coin launching president, the Don, the Trump coin. Madness, and an overhauled SEC led by pro-crypto chairman Paul Atkins, and that means spot Solana ETF filings look very likely to get the official rubber stamp. Bloomberg analysts put the odds at 90%. Polymarket punters have it at 91%. And what's more, prospective ETF issuers have recently filed with the SEC to include staking in the ETFs. That's a great idea in itself, but also refilings came at the request of the SEC, so it looks like there's at least a constructive back and forth taking place right now, so we're getting closer to it happening. By the way, there are now 8 firms looking to launch a Solana spot ETF, with the latest filing coming just this week from CoinShares, which means there are now 8 applicants that are going to be bringing Solana ETFs to the market. No BlackRock yet, though, but we do have like Franklin Templeton and Fidelity, so major players, but not BlackRock yet. So to get an idea of how Solana itself might move when ETFs launch, well, let's check how ETFs affected Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, before we do that, guys, if you want to trade Solana, you want to trade Solana-based meme coins, Bitcoin, whatever, then you got to check out Femex, the OG cryptocurrency exchange that delivers elite liquidity, rock-solid security, and unrestricted access from anywhere in the world. When you sign up using the link right down below here, you're going to skip the grind and go straight to VIP level 2, which means your spot trading maker fees cut in half. Your futures trading fees down by 40%. That's big savings. If you're a trader, you know that's big savings. And it gets even better. Femex is giving away up to $30,000 in trading and deposit bonuses. That's real money on the table here, guys. The more you trade, the more they pay. The more you deposit, the more they pay. If you're serious about building wealth in crypto and what a great place to trade, lock it in today. Link right down below. Let's talk about the Bitcoin ETFs. The spot ETF started trading on January 11th, 2024. Feels like ages ago. You can see that the price had been in an upward trend before that. The rumor was very exciting. People were, okay, let's long Bitcoin. Then, almost immediately after launch, it dropped steeply, opening at 46.7K on launch day, spiking up to 49K on the same day, and then falling as low as 35K by January 23rd. This had anyone who sold the news slapping themselves on the back, but then absolutely reversed. Crazy. Bitcoin ripped as inflows started to actually matter, as outflows from Grayscale slowed. It hit 73.8K in March, and in fact, price action was so explosive that it blew previous cycle norms out of the water, causing a Bitcoin all-time high before the Bitcoin halving, something that had never happened before. And if we fast forward to 6 months after launch, we can see that in July, Bitcoin is ranging between 57.5K and 70K, and then 12 months after launch, in January 2025, it traded between 89 and 109K. Now, to be clear, there were other variables at play too. Obviously, it's not just the Bitcoin ETFs. Of course, we have Trump winning the elections. We have treasury companies. We have strategic reserves being launched in countries, whales buying, all this kind of crap going on, okay? But this whole time, the ETFs have been experiencing insanely huge inflows. So everything is working together to take Bitcoin into 6-figure territory. Now, as for the ETH ETFs, they launched on July 23rd, 2024, and just as with the Bitcoin ETF funds, there was an immediate sell-off, sending the price crashing from a launch day open of 3.4K to a low of 2.1K on August 5th. It's also the yen carry trade, so it's not all Ethereum's fault, okay? There was some other macro bullshit going on. Price then recovered in November, climbed as high as $4,100 by the middle of December. But don't forget, the whole of crypto was pumping. It wasn't just Ethereum, and it certainly wasn't Ethereum ETFs, which had relatively weak inflows for quite a long time, especially the first half of this year. But, you know, the Trump pump was in, ETH pumped. Now, unlike with Bitcoin, ETH's gains didn't stick either. 6 months after the ETFs launched in January 2025, Ethereum ranged in a downtrend between 3.7 and 2.9K. Right now, it's trading at 2.5K. It never got new all-time highs. Bitcoin did by a significant amount, thanks to partially into ETF flows. ETH ETF flows, well, as a percentage, have been relatively similar by market cap to Bitcoin's, haven't had that pump effect to get to new all-time highs yet. So how price behaves after an ETF launch depends on the underlying asset itself. If demand is there, then ETFs can add fuel to the fire, but ETFs cannot in of themselves create the pump. So with that in mind, let's get back to the main topic of this video, the Solana ETF Inflow Prediction. Now, back in January, JP Morgan, they released some projections focused on Solana and XRP ETFs. Can you trust JP Morgan? No, but not many people have made predictions regarding inflows, so it's what we got to work with here, okay, guys? All right? In that prediction, they stated that if Solana ETFs attract similar adoption rates to the Bitcoin and Ethereum products, then Solana funds could be looking at inflows of anywhere between $3 and $6 billion. That's pretty good. That's within 6 to 12 months, by the way. So these are pretty big numbers for an asset that at the time of recording this video is trading at around a $75–80 billion market cap. $6 billion of inflows is extremely significant. And taking the Bitcoin and Ethereum products as a guide, JP Morgan calculated a Solana market cap increase of between $2.7 and $5.2 billion. Although Solana at the time had a market cap that was quite a bit higher than it is right now, around 90-some billion. Well, it's currently at 77 billion. Again, time recording this video might be slightly different by the time you watch it. Just for argument's sake, though, if the Solana market cap went from up by $5 billion right now, that would essentially equate to the price rising by about $10, or around 6.8%. So it's not, you know, wild, is it? JP Morgan also pointed out, though, that the uncertainty of investor demand is a key unknown. And you have to keep in mind, too, just the narrative and the speculation can send price absolutely soaring. Look at the Bitcoin ETF, price doubled before the ETF, and then inflows saw the price go up 200% after the initial sell-off. Percentage-wise, it wasn't a much bigger number than we're going to see for Solana ETF inflows predicted, but the price narrative drove the price. Look, markets are fickle when it comes to crypto, but there's a bullish case to be made here. Unlike with ETH this cycle, there actually has been demonstrably huge demand for Solana. It's got the hype, it's got the narrative already without ETFs. Yes, it's been the home of meme coin mania, okay, but it's also been the home of PayPal USD, USDC adoption soaring, DeFi taking off on-chain on Solana. Huge partnerships with Shopify and all this stuff. Big things are happening. Its price went from $10 to $300 during this cycle, while new metas like AI agents did pretty well initially on Solana. We have other things like internet capital markets, which sprang up as well recently on Solana, so new things are happening. And yes, Donald Trump himself even posted a Solana contract address for his own token launch back in January. Additionally, one last wild card to keep in mind is the emergence of corporate Solana Treasuries. See, it's not only Bitcoin that is being snapped up right now by corporations, as several different companies have come out to start buying Solana. We've got firms like Upexi, SOL Strategies, and the DeFi Development Corp, which are actually stacking huge amounts of Solana. Cantor Fitzgerald, major firm, they came out publicly endorsing this approach and these companies saying to keep an eye on them. Plus, there's no grayscale overhang. So an issue with Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, they had to contend with huge amounts of outflows from the Grayscale Trust. Right now, around 66% of the Solana supply is staked. We have treasury companies, we have ETFs coming, so you put it all together, And there's real existing demand for Solana. Corporations are buying, and on top of that, with the arrival of ETFs, you could see potentially all the ingredients for some explosive price action. The JP Morgan price predictions are way too small when you consider all the other factors at play here. That said, there are a huge number of other factors at play, including macroeconomics and geopolitics and all the other bullshit, and our overall position in the crypto cycle. So obviously nothing's guaranteed. But I think there's enough compelling case to be made here when you look at staking, when you look at the ETFs, when you look at the treasury companies, when you look at the wild adoption that Solana is having right now, that currently it feels mispriced in the market, which is why I have taken a position in Solana recently for this exact trade, for the ETF trade. If the Bitcoin ETF trade was able to pump the price as it has, I feel like the Solana ETF trade is being highly mispriced by the wider market right now. Thanks for watching.